Hello and welcome back to Courtside. I'm Andrew Cohen, joined alongside by Sam Pausman, Mike Randall. How you guys doing on this fine Wednesday afternoon?
I'm fine.
Feeling very American today.
Feeling very American today.
American
as I sit
today.
in my Zinedine Zidane jersey. But
He's a French soccer player, by the way.
everyone knows who that is, Andrew.
You are sitting with two people who have no clue.
I saw red, white, and blue. I assumed America since, America. But no, France.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hey.
France who lost today,
France
by the way.
did help us beat Britain the first time around. So
Yeah.
Shout out Lafayette.
shout out the French.
Yeah.
But
France looks really good, right?
They look
Sure,
really
we'll
good.
get to this later, but haven't they looked phenomenal?
They look
Yeah.
phenomenal. And people are clowning them for losing today, but they played their worst players. They just rested everyone if important.
Because they already won. They're
Exactly.
already first place out of their group.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, but what's more American than good college football?
Nothing.
Arguably nothing.
Arguably nothing.
Arguably nothing. Nothing's more grassroots American than college football.
Sitting on the couch eating some boiled peanuts.
We are at a pinnacle point in the season. Couple games left for every team.
Mm-hmm.
College football
Well-
playoff hanging in the balance.
CFP action.
Mike
Michael,
and Sam have a lot to say.
we have a lot to say,
A lot to say. Big rivalry weekend
right?
on Saturday.
That was so much fun.
Setting up a phenomenal championship weekend this weekend.
I think we have to start with Michigan OSU.
Yes.
You
of course.
texted me. You texted me during this. You said, this is one of the most satisfying ass kickings I've ever witnessed as a college
Oh,
football
it was
fan.
great.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? I mean, Ohio State's carried this just aura of arrogance in the program since I've been watching college football. It's been there, but feels like especially since Urban Meyer left, Ryan Day took over. They beat Michigan the first year. Then Michigan refuses to play them in the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Day just gets all up in arms about it, and he's like, next time we play them, we're putting 100 on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just coming after Michigan, and I personally like Ryan Day, but there's quite a bit of the born on third base, thought you hit a triple syndrome with him,
Silver spoon
where
in
it
his
was
mouth.
Urban Meyer's team, Urban Meyer's program, Urban Meyer's recruiting momentum that he took over. And frankly, in 3 or 4 years, whatever he's been there for, he's 1-2 against Michigan. He's made a national championship, but he got blown out.
And let's be honest, those two losses against Michigan are like ass whooping. Like,
Oh, they're bad.
they're like
They're bad.
character
Yeah.
of team.
I mean, last year you could sort of go with, it's in Ann Arbor, best Michigan team
Yeah.
they've had in a couple decades. It was bound to end somehow. And you know that all offseason, all Ohio State's thinking about is it's just Michigan. Get back to Michigan. Get back to Michigan. And they get Michigan at home and literally run out the building in the second half. It was 28-3 in the second half. They conceded, I think it was 230 rushing yards in the second half of that game.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Edwards had like
He
north
had
of that.
He had 160 on 2 carries.
Jesus. That's wild. It was just they gave up. Is Ryan Day on the hot seat?
Ryan Day is on the hot seat if he's on the hot seat going into this game next year.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens again, because he's only lost 2 games the last 2 years, but both are to Michigan, so no one cares about all the wins, and especially in a Big Ten that's not that strong anymore.
Yeah. You've
Your
one
whole
job as an
whole
Ohio
season
State
is
coach.
building towards Michigan, and the thing about that game too is because they're in the same division. If you lose, like if it was structured like the Big 12, Ohio State loses that game, they would play this weekend with a chance at revenge.
Exactly.
No big deal. If you beat them the second time, you're probably both headed for the playoff.
You almost want to lose the first one because it's harder to beat them twice.
Yeah, you don't want to lose it, but
Yeah,
it's
you know
not
what
the
I
end of the
mean.
world
Yeah.
by any means. And then I've said this before. I think I said this on the podcast last week, was all the loser of this game had to do was not get blown out.
That was the one thing.
Had to be competitive. You couldn't get blown out. And now we're going to talk about it. Ohio State's in danger of missing out, even if a couple of the teams playing on championship weekend lose.
No, I was watching with a bunch of Michigan fans, and earlier in the game when Michigan was down, they were getting worried. Like all that matters is that this game is close.
It's close.
Like if this is a one-score game, you're through. You've nothing to worry
Even
about.
if it's tight and Ohio State tacks on a late touchdown,
Yeah.
and you're like, that game could have gone either way for the majority of the football game. You're at Ohio State. You lose a tough football game, Michigan's still sitting pretty. But to be the home team and get run off the field, it's one thing to lose in a shootout. It's another thing for the other team to just turn around and hand the ball off.
Yeah. In your own building.
And it's like get boat raced.
It's the horseshoe too, so it's not like it's not just another home game. Like this is it's iconic.
It's the game.
Yeah.
It's the game. I wish we could spend a whole episode on that game because there's a whole strategic element of how Ohio State approached defense that Joel Klatt did a great job talking about on the broadcast that I'd love to get into, but I don't want to take up too much time with that.
Jim Harbaugh, one of the best second half adjusters of our generation in college football? ?
That's a lot to say. He's one of the top 5 coaches in college football right now. I'll give him that after this, but he's got to do something in the playoff now.
That's
and I don't have a history of him adjusting to look. There might be one. I don't even think it was adjustments. I think it was just the Michigan offensive line just wears you. That's a real thing. Wears you down in 2 years in a row. It's been the second half of those games. They're not doing anything pretty. It's nothing schematic. They're running stretch.
Even the touchdowns that like McCarthy was throwing was technically bad throws.
It was busted coverage. Yeah. I want to give J.J. McCarthy all the credit in the world because he missed a lot of those throws this year.
Yeah.
And he needed to make those to keep them early in the game. I thought Ohio State was going to run away with it because I didn't think Michigan had those big plays in them.
I agree.
But I'll try to be quick, but it is really important to mention. Because Michigan's such a dominant run team, Ohio State came into that game committing all their resources on defense to the run. Everything. So everything's man coverage. There's no safety help. Everything's up front to stop the run. And because of that, Michigan had opportunities that if guys missed tackles or guys busted assignments or just ran great routes, the receiver scored the 2 early touchdowns for Michigan. Cornelius something.
Yes,
I'm sorry, number 7 for Michigan. Runs a great corner post route, cooks the defender, takes it for a touchdown. So those plays were able to keep Michigan alive. Cornelius Johnson. Because of the way Ohio State was committing their resources to the run, allowed those big plays to pop. Then in the second half, Ohio State backs off a little bit, right? Try to eliminate the big play. Michigan starts to get the ground game going. At the end of the game, Ohio State's like, all right, we have to go back to recommitting.
And JJ just
they bring everyone up front. And when you bring everyone up front like that and you play man coverage, I know this because our defense is structured very similarly. If one guy messes up, if one gap is compromised, Donovan Edwards hits the seam and there's no second level to the defense. He hits the seam and he's out the gate. Happened twice. They got gashed like that.
Little Ewing theory, Andrew. Blake Corum goes down. People are asking questions about Michigan, and they play their best football of the year. Little Ewing theory. How do you rate, not rank, but rate Ohio State and USC compared to each other?
Like if they played each other?
No, like which team do you think? I think that USC is more deserving of being the 4 spot.
Oh, 100%.
Which team do you think is the better football team in terms of has a higher chance of beating Georgia? The answer is neither team, but if you had to pick one, which one would it be?
That's tough. It's tough because Caleb Williams might be the best player in the country. I still think roster-wise, Ohio State's better. Jordan Addison's been really good for USC this year. They have a bunch of other weapons, but I'm still going to go with what is a loaded Ohio State team. The issue with Ohio State is their weakness is the interior of the defensive front, and that's exactly what Georgia would look to exploit the way Michigan did. But C.J. Stroud has played really good football. He had one costly turnover. Besides that, I didn't think he played poorly. I thought Michigan just made really timely defensive plays. Great defensive plays. Not C.J. making mistakes.
Yeah.
Aside from the late turnover, where he's just trying to make something happen, right?
Yes. And you have no choice.
Yeah, Michigan just made plays. There was a lot of third and fourth and threes where a Michigan player just got his hand on the football. But I would still go with Ohio State. If they rematch, I'm not sure it would turn out that much different. No. If they rematch, I think it would turn out a lot differently. I think Ohio State could win. I think it's at least close.
Yeah.
So I still like Ohio State as a team, but there's no doubt in my mind, especially if USC wins this weekend. They're absolutely in. They have a better resume, like no doubt about that. Ohio State's resume is not great because the white whale for them in that league is Michigan because there aren't that many other good teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I worry about USC defensively.
I do too.
I was talking to my uncle about this, who's a USC alum, and is finally happy to see them relevant again. But he was talking about the work that Lincoln Riley did in the transfer portal this year because we were comparing Sark's time at Texas and Lincoln Riley's time at SC. And he was like, well, you can point to Lincoln Riley's success in the transfer portal in terms of how he's just completely turned a team around. But my counter to that was, well, he's only turned half of the team around. Like, all of those transfer portal guys came in for the offensive side of the football. And with the Lincoln Riley team, you kind of know that's what you're getting. It's just we hope we're going to beat you by one more point than you score on us. But I think when you're playing a team like Georgia, where you're not playing in the Pac-12 anymore, and you can't just try to screw your way into the end zone, albeit they do have the best player in college football. I agree with you on that. I worry that they could get steamrolled / kind of exposed on the defensive front.
Yeah, so the deal with USC's defense is it's better than the one he had at Oklahoma. Excuse me. But it is highly reliant on turnovers. And the thing about turnovers is they come and go, and if they go and you're reliant on them, there's a couple teams in the NFL that are like this year. That if they go and that you regress to the mean, or you play an opponent like Georgia who doesn't turn the football over, then you're in trouble. So I don't love their matchup against Georgia because I think Georgia just keeps ball control, keeps Caleb Williams off the field, avoids turnovers, and wins the football game. So, but Georgia's going to do that against pretty much everybody in the country. I think the only team that stylistically matches up well with them is Michigan. And then in that case, I think Georgia just has better football players. But the defense has done what it has needed to do to get USC in this position. I'm not going to go overboard praising it, but they haven't been atrocious. There have been times when they've given up shootouts, for sure. But it's college football. Most of the country gives up shootouts.
Yeah.
Alabama gave up 50 to Tennessee. I don't know that the Tennessee offense is that much better than, or even better at all than USC, right? So, you know, I was actually impressed with the defense last week against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I thought they played very well. They forced a few turnovers.
And that was the best the Notre Dame offense has looked all season, too.
Well, they've definitely played a lot better. I haven't watched any Notre Dame. They've played well recently. I haven't watched them. But I thought they came in looking fine, and the USC defense made a lot of big plays.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a crushing Achilles heel. I think against most teams in the country, it's enough, especially with what they have at quarterback. But
yeah, if I were USC,
we can talk about Georgia later, but Georgia's just a different thing.
I would be excited though if I was a USC fan.
Oh, you're ecstatic. You have Caleb for one more year. You have Lincoln Riley in place. The whole of California is a recruiting just like gold mine.
Has Lincoln Riley has he been able to have a recruiting class yet?
No. Yeah. This is his first year. So some of the freshmen on this team are his recruiting class. Mm-hmm. So he has one recruiting class under his belt. I think 19 guys came in the transfer portal. He'll get more of those guys this year. You have situations like Texas A&M, where a lot of really good players went to Texas A&M because they were paid to. Well, they got the bag, and now they're all going to start glancing around the rest of the country. Where did I actually want to go? And all Lincoln's got to do, man, this wasn't necessarily the case in Oklahoma, although Oklahoma's situated in the south and next to Texas. But all Lincoln's got to do, man, is go into California and say, hey, you're from California. You have an idea of what USC means to this state, and especially the LA area. Let's come make something happen.
Exactly.
Like, come play for me. We'll make something happen. Remember those Reggie Bush teams? Like, we have a chance to be that. Mm-hmm. All he's got to do is win California. He doesn't even have to go to the rest of the country.
There's a little bit of noise about Texas's best receiver this past year is Xavier Worthy, probably one of the better wide receivers in the Big 12. He recently deleted everything Texas off his Instagram story once they realized that Bijan Robinson was a lot better than Quinn Ewers, so they just were like, we're going to hand the ball off instead of throw it. So he is out, and he posted on his Instagram story just like a peace sign, which also happens to be the USC victory thing. So all the USC people on Twitter are excited that they might be adding that to the arsenal.
Yeah, so I don't know if that'll happen or not, but that's the type of situation that Lincoln Riley is phenomenal at capitalizing on.
Exactly.
So you throw Xavier Worthy, you're going to lose Jordan Addison. You go to Xavier Worthy or a player of that caliber, and you go, hey, we got a big hole opening up in our offense, a lot of targets. You're going to catch passes from the best player in the country in L.A.
And he actually can throw the ball.
Yeah, actually sling the ball.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to dump on Quinny.
You're not going to do much better than that. So USC is in an awesome spot. It's exciting to see him back. I hope they have an exciting playoff matchup, even if it's Georgia, even if they lose. We'll see. But what I worry could happen is what happened to the Kyler Murray Oklahoma team, which they just get rolled.
That's fair. You know what's annoying about this year? Is that from 2 to 12, everyone is pretty close. But then there's Georgia, just looming over it all, who are inevitably going to win. Is that how you feel, or do you think that Georgia's kind of...
So, I've felt like that for most of the season, especially after they beat Tennessee up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've focused a bit more of my time onto some college football content recently, and some experts whose opinions I trust, and just having listened to stuff. I haven't watched Georgia play in a while, so I'm excited to watch them play this week against a good LSU team.
Yeah.
They're not the Georgia team last year.
Okay.
So, to that extent, like that Georgia team last year, I think had a record number of draft picks off their defense. They're not that Georgia team. They're not that Georgia team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're really good. I think they deservedly are the odds-on favorite. But Michigan just beat up a really good Ohio State team. Yeah. Caleb Williams is the type of player. We saw Deshaun Watson do it twice to an Alabama team that was better than this Georgia team.
Yeah.
Right? So you never know. I think Stetson Bennett stepped into his own, so they have a legit weapon at quarterback now. But I think we talked about this last week, you and I don't know if it was on air or off, but that it has felt inevitable that Georgia will end up winning a lot like some of the Alabama years, and that might be slightly misplaced. I'm not going to go out and say I think Georgia's not going to win it, but I think Michigan especially matches up, especially if McCarthy is able to make some of the plays he made against Ohio State, even if it's to buy the running game time to get rolling. That's the type of style that they're going to have to utilize to beat Georgia. So I think this is the most exciting playoff I can remember, because outside of Georgia, all the other teams feel really smushed together and they could all beat each other.
Yes.
And so even if Georgia's a little bit vulnerable, they'll probably, if they get TCU.
Are we not giving TCU enough credit?
No, we're not. They're going to get smashed by somebody. I don't.
Okay.
Like, they're deserving. Their resume and what they've done this season, absolutely deserving the playoff, especially if they win this week. Mm-hmm. But I don't consider them a national championship contender. Out of the four, I think they're the worst team.
Yeah, I agree.
Although Max Duggan should be in the Heisman conversation.
That's fair.
So he's played really well. But they either play two teams that are going to be drastically more physical than them on both sides of the ball, or they play a team with a better quarterback.
Which never bodes well.
Yeah, especially if you're going to rely on a high level of points being scored to win football games. But I think the field we have right now of Georgia, Michigan, USC, and TCU, I think it's TCU, USC in terms of ranking, that's really fun. We'll have at least one really good semifinal game, hopefully two. And then you never know in the national championship.
You never know.
You never know. And I think this Michigan team's really good.
I do too.
Jim Harbaugh has his first real opportunity to go and win a national championship. It's pretty cool.
It is.
Pretty cool.
I am good there unless you have anything else to add.
So
I'm happy Texas is top 20 team in the country.
So I have one question for you.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't go into lengthy hypotheticals. But let's say USC loses.
Okay.
Or TCU loses. Let's ignore TCU for a moment because they'd only have one loss and still a case.
Yeah.
But if USC loses, they're now a 2-loss non-champion. Ohio State and Alabama are looming behind them.
Yes.
Of those two teams, let's say USC loses. Of those three teams, you have two 2-loss teams, one 1-loss team, but that one loss was a blowout at home against their arch rival. Who do you think has the best case to get in? And are there any other dark horses in the rankings that you think have a better case than people are giving them credit for?
So I think if LSU keeps it close against Georgia, that could bode well for Bama, right? Because it makes that LSU loss look a lot better.
The best case for Bama is LSU wins.
Yes.
Because Georgia's in no matter what. They can lose, and they'll be in. Now, I don't hold that thought, because I don't think you're putting in two SEC teams that didn't win the conference championship.
I was going to say, and both lost to a team that wasn't in it.
That's fair. LSU screwed themselves, man, by just not showing up against Texas A&M. If they win that game, all they have to do is beat Georgia. quote, all they have to do, but they hold their own destiny. They're out now.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right. It's probably better, maybe an overtime game for LSU, right? It shows that they're on that level. I've been going back and forth with this. One of the things I was thinking about talking to you about is there are several teams that are ranked ahead of a team that beat them despite having the same record.
Yes.
Utah's above UCLA and Oregon, and then the big one people are talking about is Bama's ranked above Tennessee despite having the same record, Tennessee with a head-to-head win.
That makes no sense, except for when you think about it, is Tennessee no longer have their star quarterback.
Yeah, but that's not really fair, because if you remember, the precedent has not been set for penalizing teams for injuries because of the Cardell Jones Ohio State team.
Okay.
The thing I would argue for Alabama is how you lose in college football matters in an objective sport.
Mm-hmm.
So Alabama, their 2 losses are on the road at LSU and Tennessee when both teams were playing their best football.
Yes.
That's the other thing I think that matters is you have to look at where a team is at the end of the season as opposed to where they were when they played each other.
Yes.
So Tennessee at the time was a better football team than Alabama. The season has aged since then.
Alabama's the better
Alabama's 2 losses are on the last play of the game against Tennessee and LSU.
They've lost by a combined 3 points?
Yeah, something like that. It's really, really tight. And in both cases, those were 2 highly ranked teams playing their best football at the time. Tennessee's losses, you lose by a couple touchdowns in Athens. Wasn't really that close, but you lose at Georgia.
It was a Notre Dame loss where it looked a lot better than it actually was.
Not devastating, not great that you didn't really compete in that game, but you're at Athens. It's understandable.
Mm-hmm. Now,
losing 63-38 to an unranked South Carolina team, like that eliminates them for me.
Me too.
So I don't.
Okay.
So I'm a huge head-to-head guy. When the resumes are incredibly comparable and very close, but how you lose matters. And a close win at home for Tennessee over Alabama in October, at this point in time, does not hold more weight for me than a disastrously embarrassing loss to an unranked opponent.
That's fair.
Against South Carolina. So that is why I would argue that Alabama deservingly is ranked ahead of them, which I thought the committee got right. And then in terms of how you lose, I just mentioned Alabama's losses. Ohio State's loss, granted, it's to the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
But it's at home.
And it was bad.
And it's by 3 touchdowns.
It was probably one of the worst losses of the season for a team that is gunning for the
again, like all they had to do is keep it close and they're in.
So does this mean that it's really impossible for Bama to jump up to that 4 spot because of where they put OSU, and neither of those 2 teams are playing another game?
More than likely. I thought that was really interesting that the committee decided to keep Ohio State above Alabama at 6. I would argue for Alabama for the reason because
I'm with you.
When last seen, Alabama has looked better than what we just saw. The first time Ohio State ran into real top-level competition nationally, they got smashed. But because the committee put them ahead, neither will play, then if TCU or USC falter, and TCU's a tough one. Resume-wise, I think they deserve to hold their spot even if they lose as an undefeated. But I don't think there's enough respect for what they've done this year to keep it there with Ohio State and Bama looming. Especially because, quite frankly, the committee, it's in their interest to see competitive football games, and I think people would rather see Alabama or Ohio State play Georgia.
I could have used a little SEC bias this year. The one year they don't give it to us. The 1 year's kind of deserved.
I don't know. Maybe. But it's very interesting to see what happens with TCU. Someone score. We're watching the Argentina.
Mexico just scored. They're up 2-0.
And Andrew's thrown up a touchdown sign. So I'm
Mexico
very
scored on Argentina?
No. Mexico's playing Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
But they're now
But this puts Argentina top of the group, right?
Argentina's currently top of the group. Mexico and Poland are tied for second, but that Mexico goal makes it just a 1 goal differential between them. So if Mexico scores again or Argentina scores again,
this could get interesting.
It could get very interesting.
Okay.
Anyways, proceed.
Sorry.
Thanks, Andrew. No more touchdowns.
Just to wrap up. So, if all the conference champs win this week,
yes,
they're obviously in.
Certainly.
More than likely, one of those 3 gets got.
Who's your guess?
The 2 of the top, mine would be TCU. They were down 28-17 at halftime against K-State the first time around, and I think they were at home. It's a big spot. I think the players understand what's on the line there, and we'll see what happens. I personally have a lot of faith in Lincoln Riley because he's coached teams to this point before.
He's been here before.
Caleb Williams doesn't have the aura of a player that's going to shrink in this moment at all. So I have a lot of faith in USC, although I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. Really good Utah team that's already beat them this year, so they're going to come in with some confidence.
Yeah.
I think the top two, Georgia, Michigan, they can lose. They're playing with house money this week.
Yep.
They're already in. It gets real interesting if those back two teams lose. I think if USC loses, they're out. I think Ohio State or Bama will jump them. TCU loses, we end up with the whole, you got to respect TCU, you shouldn't respect TCU. That gets really, really messy if it's a one-loss non-champ TCU team.
Dude, if we get a double loss in TCU and USC, then that means we get Bama, Georgia in one semifinal and Michigan, Ohio State in the other.
We could.
That would be insane.
Yes, but it depends on, do they drop TCU all the way down to 5?
Gotcha.
Right, it's not automatic that those teams lose and they slide them down uniformly and just swap them with the other two. That's what I would like to see. But that's a tough.
Yeah.
Do you have TCU's best wins written down? Did you look at them?
It's Texas.
That's the best win.
And like Oklahoma. It was just a bunch of like Big 10 teams or Big 12 teams when they were like between like 15 and 23.
I was going to say when they were good, and they've all at this point in the season that resume doesn't look quite as impressive.
The only team that's risen over the last 2 or 3 weeks in the Big 12 is Texas.
And they're at 20 at 8-4.
Yes, sir. But we were at 24.
Yeah, but that's not exactly a killer resume there.
I'm glad Andrew's paying attention. They do have the hardest.
We just saw Bama beat Ole Miss too.
Yeah, but TCU also has the most impressive strength of schedule this year of any team in college football.
What's Ohio's best win? Ohio State's best win is Notre Dame.
Ohio State's best win is Notre Dame or Penn State.
Penn State. That was the other one.
The thing is, okay, I want to talk about this and then we can actually end this. Penn State is 8. Penn State has played nobody.
Penn State's 8.
Penn State's played nobody except they played Michigan and they played Ohio State. And
they got stomped
both times. And then they played a bunch of Powerpuff Girls the rest of the time. And somehow it was just like decided, maybe they were number 10 when they played Michigan.
You know why they're there?
Only got worse. Is it to boost the Michigan Ohio State resumes?
It's to keep Ohio State up there.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's it.
That honestly right there, I've looked at the rankings, but it didn't click. Seeing that now, if either of those two or four drop, or 3 or 4, sorry, TCU or USC drop, I think it's Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because there's no other reason to have Penn State that high up other than Ohio State's resume looks a whole lot better with a dominant win over the number 8 team in the country.
Yeah.
So that's huge. What they do with Ole Miss? Did you look?
That was, I don't know. Did they play Ole Miss?
I don't see Ole Miss in the rankings. No, for Bama.
Oh, for Bama? No, Bama beat Ole Miss.
They did, but
Ole Miss is 27th.
Ole Miss is no longer ranked. They were a top 10 team when they played.
And that was my best win for Bama.
Bama's resume is not strong. The SEC West this year outside of Bama and LSU hasn't been great, and Bama lost to LSU.
Yeah.
So they lost to Tennessee. So what I could see happening here is say we get TCU and USC to lose. You slide Ohio State up to 3, you drop USC out, and you slide TCU down to 4.
That
just based on resume, because Bama's is not that strong. You're telling me that they don't have a ranked win sitting here at the end of the season.
So then Michigan gets almost punished for being the 2 seed.
Michigan would get, they'd get Ohio State again at a neutral site.
And they're not winning that game.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Their strength isn't running the ball, and
That's
Ohio
fair.
State's weakness is interior rush defense.
And they'll have Cohen back.
Yeah, so I think it's much closer and Ohio State could win, but I don't think it's a definitive one way or another. But it's going to be a very fun championship weekend, and we'll bring you guys a college football preview with a couple guests next week.
Do you know what I hope happens?
What do you hope happens? Oh, yeah. Predictions? So I got Georgia.
Hold up. How should we do this?
I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
Georgia, Michigan to win, USC to win a really tight game, and TCU to go down. Tell me who you think's going to win, and then I'll give you my final 4.
I have the top 4 all winning.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm putting some respect on the Big 12's name.
Fair enough. I think we end up going Bama 1, Michigan 2,
What?
Ohio State.
Timeout.
Or sorry, Georgia. I'm so used to it. I'm so used to it being Bama. Sorry, Georgia 1, Michigan 2. Sounds like Ohio State's going to sneak in there at 3.
Bastards. Because they played the 8th best team in the country.
And TCU down to 4. Maybe they keep TCU right at 3 and they slide Ohio State up to 4. That makes sense too, even if TCU suffers a loss. But, oh wait. No.
You meant to say USC, right?
USC, yeah. Okay, so USC would slide to 3.
Start over.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. There's a lot to process.
He had a lot of caffeine today.
We have Georgia 1, Michigan 2, USC 3, and Ohio State 4, based on what I think is going to happen this weekend. Okay. I feel good about that.
So that means the 3 teams win except for TCU.
Yes. And that would mean Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan, USC. That is an awesome playoff.
Yeah.
That's about as good as it gets right there in terms of blue bloods and in terms of stylistic matchups. Pretty cool.
I don't know if it works this way with the bowl games, but what if Texas played Tennessee in the Orange Bowl because they're both orange?
I think the Orange Bowl's big.
I appreciated that one.
Thank you.
No, I got what you were saying. I was trying to see if it could actually happen. I don't know the bowl games well enough either.
Yeah. Me neither.
So let's just pretend like it can happen.
Let's just pretend it could happen, even though I'm pretty sure it can't.
Shall we get our producer involved now?
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for being patient with us.
Of course, I thought it was a phenomenal segment.
Ramble about.
I thought it was phenomenal.
I will say this is the most exciting college football year we've had in a while.
Yes.
Because it's usually like, the top 4 teams almost coming into the year, and then they end up being the top 4 teams.
As a Texas fan, probably the most painful since the Colt McCoy.
Why? Because you thought you were going to be good and then you were bad?
Yes.
You're not numb to that by now?
No, because most of the years I kind of know in my heart of hearts that we're not actually going to be good. This year there was actually hope.
I had a stress-free Auburn season. They just stunk right through the... Oh, look. Watch the Iron Bowl. They got a decent little freshman quarterback. Can run around a little bit. He played pretty solid against Bama. It was just Bama scored every time they touched the ball.
That's not good. That's not good for...
It's not what you're looking for.
Well, at least they have a good new head coach. Sorry,
we're
not
not talking
about this. Andrew, you have something for us, do you not?
Yes. 10 questions are back.
10 questions are back.
Let's go.
The NFL.
I have so many questions.
It's also at a key point in the season, kind of at the barrier between every game matters in terms of playoff positioning and the middle of the season.
Playoff push time.
I've put together a list of 10 questions here.
Are they all NFL related?
All NFL related.
Okay. Hey. Never mind. Continue.
Okay. I'm going to count down, so we'll start at 10, go to 1.
Okay. So do they get progressively better, allegedly?
Not really. This is the order I thought of them in.
Sounds good.
Number 1. Aaron Rodgers left this week's game with an injury. Jordan Love comes in. 4 plays, 75-yard touchdown drive on the first drive, then leads them down for a field goal to make it a 1-score game. Unfortunately, Green Bay never got the ball back because Philly just ran out the clock.
Yeah.
What should the Packers do at quarterback the rest of the season?
Go with Jordan Love.
That is the answer.
I don't think we see Rodgers again.
They should go with Jordan Love.
I don't agree with that.
Not ever.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
No, I think we do. You know why?
Why?
Hear what he did on McAfee?
No, what did he do
This
on
guy
McAfee?
he's so manipulative. It's
diabolical.
It's incredible.
What did he say?
He went on McAfee. He said, "Oh yeah, I got my scans. I'm good to go. I can play." So what that does is it takes the decision, like it publicly makes LaFleur have to bench him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really hard to do with your top 5 like it's just he basically just screwed over his coaching staff.
I love McAfee, but when are we allowed to critique him for continuously giving this guy a microphone?
And they're cream puff interviews too.
Yeah.
He doesn't ask any. I love McAfee, but he doesn't ask difficult questions.
I think Aaron Rodgers pitched the questions. Like I legitimately,
He probably does.
Yeah, I think they send it to his PR team first.
See, Aaron Rodgers has to pick one. Either he's playing through an injury that maybe he shouldn't be playing through because that was his whole thing. Was it the thumb this time?
Oh, yeah.
After it was the toe last year, right?
His
But
turf
now
toe.
he's totally fine.
COVID
So what is it? Is he playing hurt or is he totally healthy? Pick one, dude. In my opinion, they should have gotten rid of Rodgers a long time ago. They should have gone to Jordan Love or bring in Jimmy Garoppolo or someone like that. Because they're not winning a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers.
So you and I strongly disagree on that, but that's a lengthier discussion.
Yeah.
But the season's lost. Why not evaluate the
4-8,
first-round
they're cooked.
quarterback you just drafted? I understand Rodgers has a contract, but at least you'd know what's going on with Love, and the rest of the league could see it too. But I think Rodgers just backed him into a corner. If he's actually healthy like he says, I think we're going to end up seeing him, even if they shouldn't.
Yep. All right.
Are we supposed to? How do you want us to answer these questions?
That was meant to be a little bit of a longer one. Some of these are shorter.
Okay.
Number 9. What is your favorite throwback uniform that you've seen in the league this season?
Patriots.
That's the answer. It's a great answer.
Thank you.
Giants. I'm biased. I love the
Yeah.
Patriots ones too, but they brought back the LT.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
LT jerseys. Yeah, those were awesome.
Very cool. All right. Number 8. Who is the most irrelevant team in the NFL?
Ooh.
I can go first.
Yeah,
Go
because
first.
you gotta.
The Houston Texans. The Houston Texans. They're not good. You never have any expectations for them.
Yeah.
They're just really boring and bad.
Yeah, what team do we just never talk about? Probably, Houston.
Yeah.
I could also give you like the Panthers.
I was
thinking the Panthers or the Saints this year. The Saints aren't even that bad.
I was going to say I would go with Saints.
Cares.
Yeah.
Like,
I would go with Saints.
you're almost more relevant if you stink like the Broncos because people are at least talking.
Exactly, yeah. The
Fair
Saints are just
Houston's going to be relevant. They get any sort of confidence in the front office, they're about to have Bryce Young and another top 10 pick coming in the door in a very good draft class.
They could.
Bryce Young's
They could turn it
Bryce
around.
Young may be a franchise changer.
They could.
Big Bryce Young guy.
really.
Don't like Alabama at all. I like Bryce Young.
All right. Was this number 7? In the Thanksgiving night game between the Patriots and Vikings, a touchdown scored by Hunter Henry was overturned as the officials ruled the ball hit the ground after spending what felt like about 10 minutes in replay. Incredibly controversial overturn. So, what is the worst catch, no catch ruling you've seen in your lifetime watching the NFL?
The Des Bryant one. 100% is the Des Bryant one.
It was the Des Bryant one because the Jesse James in this one, the guy that caught it and immediately fell on the ground and extended, that I can get. But Des took a couple steps and jumped for the pylon. That was my thing. Is he jumped?
Yeah.
Made a football move.
They didn't treat the jump like a football move.
Yep.
He wasn't falling. He jumped.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. That was bad. But I stand by. Des dropped it.
Oh, no. That's the worst one.
My favorite saying of
That's
all
the
time.
worst one. He caught it. Also, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because during the game, the Hunter Henry overturn, Des Bryant was on Twitter going through it. Like he was having more
was. It was
flashbacks.
really funny.
It was hilarious.
He was like, I'm going to have to shut this app down.
shutting
Like,
his app
it
down.
was
And then,
so
and then
good.
he's like, anyone want to boot up Madden? I'm good to
Yeah.
go.
What a guy.
My favorite, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
My favorite thing about that whole thing was just the Patriots fans just crying, playing the victim on Twitter. I'm like,
That's what.
the play we all think of with this, you benefited from. The Jesse James, like, if any fan base that I cannot stand talking ill about the refs, it's I've seen the refs bail the Patriots out so many times, it's seared into my mind.
It's when
They
Patriots fans
built a
talk about
dynasty on it.
when they whine about roughing the passer. I can't handle that.
Anything. The tuck rule, the Miles Jack scoop and score, like the D Ford off. Like there's so many.
Well, but D Ford was lined up
Okay,
offsides.
but he did that all game, and they waited to call it till the end of the
Several
game.
wrongs don't make a right.
No, but you're supposed to call it at the beginning. And he's like, "Oh boy,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do that."
You have to set the precedent. as
Yeah, but you
referees.
let him do it all game. I play on the D line. It's hard sometimes. You just line up offsides, and the refs either flag you or they yell, "Get back." They didn't do that, and he says, "Oh, I'm just lining up for my play," and they're like, "Oh,
Damn it.
perfect timing."
We gotta get Tom another one.
Daniel Sorensen picked that. You know how great it would have been if Daniel Sorensen
Was he the white guy?
He was the white safety for the Chiefs.
Yes.
Who was awful, but just like happened to be in the right spot at the right time a bunch of times and like made some big plays. And aside from that, was atrocious.
All right. Nuts and bolts, the Patriots got screwed on Thursday. Just kidding. They didn't. All
Continue.
right. Number 6. Who is your favorite receiver in the league? Not necessarily the best, but just a guy you really like.
My favorite receiver?
Yeah.
All the Giants receivers stink.
I'll be a bit of a homer here.
Okay.
I've loved the Devin Duvernay. I am actually an NFL
Shut up,
caliber.
Shut up, Sam.
Okay.
Chris Godwin. Mike Evans gets all the shine in Tampa, but he's soft.
Mm-hmm.
He's soft. Chris Godwin, hard-nosed receiver. He tore his knee up. That's why he wasn't playing until recently, but just always solid and steady. A guy I want on my football team.
That's fair.
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Huge Jalen Waddle
That's
fan.
a good one.
That's a good one.
I've again, another guy that I loved watching him play at Alabama. It was just tough because he was at Alabama.
Yeah.
But as soon as he got to the pros, I'm like, he's away. He's away from the Crimson Tide. I'm like, he's like one of my favorite players now. I have him on my fantasy team. It's great.
It's good.
All right. Number 6. Number 6, right?
I thought the last one was
No.
number 6.
Number 5.
Good one.
Following a horrendous stretch of games, and after taking no accountability for his poor play, Zach Wilson was finally benched for Mike White in New York. Following this move, it's very
Healthy scratch
unclear.
benched.
Yeah, like
Not in pads.
may as well be cut.
Yeah.
Could have been sent home. Following the move, it's very unclear who the Jets will have at quarterback next season. So who will be the Jets' starting quarterback in 2023?
Jimmy G. He's got the San Fran connection with Robert Saleh. It is in the stars. It's the perfect place for him. Bring Pornstar Jimmy back to New York. It's where he belongs.
That was going to be my answer, too.
That was I thought of that one. That was my first one, but I knew someone would say it. Aaron Rodgers. He's kicked out of Green Bay,
Kicked out of Green
and
Bay,
they
dude.
send him to the Jets.
He is
Owe him
Green Bay.
$150 million.
They send him to the Jets. The Jets trade
It's
from their
more
desperate.
likely it's Jordan Love.
No.
Why not
Jordan
Jordan
Love.
Love? You throw a third. He doesn't play the rest of the season, so you don't have any value attached to him. You just throw a third-round pick at Green Bay. They're like, all right, well, we have to stick with the surly elder statesman, so we might as well dump the young buck.
Aaron Rodgers gets his Brett Favre and with the New York Jets experience.
I like that, Andrew.
All right.
They would be filthy with Aaron Rodgers.
Nope, they wouldn't be. Sorry. He's just not that
What
guy.
are you talking about?
He
I'm
won't
not
admit
saying
it.
he'd
He
win
won't
the
admit it.
Super Bowl.
It's
It's
the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. Those are
No,
two
they'd
least-
run into Mahomes,
most
but he
hated
acts like
entities.
he doesn't. He acts like Aaron Rodgers wasn't just a two-time MVP.
He's not going to admit that.
who went 13-3 for
Stop trying to
3 years
argue
in
with
a row.
this.
Aaron Rodgers is gross. He comes
Does
up
that look
short.
like the face of reason?
He comes up short in one little moment every year, and it happens to be at the worst
The
time.
one little moment ends his season. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
small
but that
moment
doesn't.
at the end of the year.
It doesn't mean the team
I'm
isn't
shutting
good.
this down. I'm
His
shutting this
team is
down.
phenomenal.
Give me question 4.
He hasn't had a bad team since 2017.
Give me question
All right.
4.
Let's calm down a little bit with question 4.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh and Michigan went to Columbus and defeated Ohio State this past weekend, all but securing a spot in the college football playoff. It was the first time Michigan beat Ohio State in Columbus since 2000.
Yeah.
Wow.
We weren't alive.
No, we were not.
We were not. Do you want Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL, and where would you want to see him coach?
No.
Okay, no, I don't, because I like him at Michigan.
Exactly.
If he goes to the NFL, where
I
would you?
love that goes back to his alma mater story.
Okay.
You know,
I also
an absolute
love how
slut for
much
that.
Ryan Day hates him and
Yes.
how funny I think Jim thinks that it's it's so great.
Back in the NFL,
But if he did come back, where would I want to see him?
yeah. I would say, I would have 3 teams, but I would say number 1 on my list would be Chicago.
Yep.
He's a quarterback there.
That's a really good
Similar
one.
spot in
that
the
one.
country.
Yep. Similar to Kaepernick, still stylistically, who he had success with.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hate him in Jacksonville. I think Doug Peterson's fine there. I'm just thinking out
I think
loud.
Detroit-
Trevor.
I
Anyway,
think
Detroit,
Detroit was the
Indy-
first one that came to me.
Indy
Yeah.
would be another good
Any
one.
of those
Indy's a really good one.
Yep.
those Bruce Springsteen-y type.
Midwest, just,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's the spot for him. All right. Number 3.
It's a good question, Andrew.
On a similar note, in recent days, Deion Sanders has been garnering interest from a handful of college football programs, including Colorado, Cincinnati, and USF.
Uh-huh.
If Deion Sanders were to get an NFL head coaching job, where is the best landing spot for him?
Houston.
Houston.
He gets to start over.
Interesting.
He gets like...
That's not bad, because he's
that's
going to
not
have
bad.
Bryce Young coming in
The
the door,
slate
too.
is clean.
That's not bad.
There's no expectation, so he's going to have a long runway to succeed.
But it's also not a small market. It's the 3rd biggest city in the country. Like,
Yeah, he'll have a franchise quarterback after this year's draft. There's not going to be a whole lot. If he doesn't win the first couple years, he's not going to be on the hot seat right away, right?
yeah.
That's a really good answer.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you, guys.
I didn't think of that one myself.
Trying to think of another team.
My answer? Dallas. Just him, just to be perfect.
The issue
just
is
the
perfect.
fit?
Yeah.
I mean,
just
personality-wise.
Personality-wise, it's fantastic.
I think he's made for college football.
I agree.
I don't know that he is for the NFL.
Another one?
I think his style is just he can get young men to just he's a god, right? Can you imagine Deion Sanders walking in your house?
Yeah, he walks into your
and telling your mom
room,
that you're gonna.
I like your mac and cheese.
Yeah, and that he's gonna help develop you into an NFL corner.
And
He's at an HBCU and he snatched the #1 player in the country.
Yeah. I would also say the Chargers. LA, make them relevant, please, because the LA fans just don't care. All right, number 2. Deshaun Watson. Yuck. Returns this week for the Cleveland Browns. Rank the AFC quarterbacks and stop when you get to Watson.
Oh, and stop when you get.
Oh, I
Stop
didn't.
when you
So I had him as a wild card.
I also had him as a wild
Interesting.
card. I ranked 9 players, and I had him as a wild card.
He's going in at 8 for me. If I have to put him in, which is above Derek Carr, who is currently 8.
So you say the entire list, though.
All right, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. That's my top 5.
Yep.
Tua at 6, Trevor Lawrence at 7 for the time being, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill. And unbiasedly, I put Mac Jones at 10. Now, I do not think highly of those last 2 players. I really wanted to put, I almost put Russell Wilson at 10 just to make you mad. But I'll give it to Mac.
Hashtag year of Russ.
Did you hear mine?
Yes.
Sure.
So I had Mahomes first, Allen 2, and then Burrow 3. So we flipped on that. And then I went Lamar ahead of Herbert, but then 6 and 7 were the same in Tua and Trevor. I had Derek Carr at 8. I had Russell Wilson at 9. And then my 10 was my Deshaun Watson wildcard spot because I'm convinced everyone below that is just the same player, and one isn't actually better than the other.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tannehill and Jones are the same guy, except Tannehill's older and has been to the playoff or been successful in the playoffs.
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, and then it's Watson. The reason I bring this up is because there's this feeling that the Browns get Deshaun Watson, all of a sudden they're going to be rolling because they've been a quarterback away. They had Baker Mayfield. They were just a quarterback away. They have the 3rd best quarterback in their division. We're saying the 8th best quarterback in the conference where 7 teams make the playoffs. And I believe in karma. And he's a bad dude.
And the other thing is, Jacoby Brissett was good.
No, he wasn't.
He was, okay, he was fine. He was average.
He was serviceable.
He was serviceable.
You could start him in an NFL game and not get laughed out of the room.
Did you see the wholesome video of him getting the game ball, though?
Yeah, I like Jacoby Brissett a lot. He's just not that good. Dude, Mac Jones is on my list and Jacoby Brissett is not. Come on.
I didn't even think about it.
So, Deshaun Watson hasn't played football in a while. Didn't look good in camp at all. Everybody hates him.
Yep.
And yet, he could very well end up at 4 here. If things, not this year. It was not going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to look very good when he comes back this week or for the rest of the season. But give him a few games at the end of the year and off season. They have good receiving weapons there that people don't talk about. Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku have the best running back duo in the league, good O-line, a very good offensive coach. He could be just as good as he could be. He might be the 3rd best quarterback in the division, maybe the 2nd if things break right. But it could be very close. It's not like they're going to walk into games against Burrow or Lamar and be like, "Oh man,
we have the advantage.
We're really screwed here." No, if he's back, if he hypothetically is back to what he was, he's just as good as those 2 guys. People forget how good he was when he did all this crap.
That franchise is never winning anything.
That's fair.
Loser quarterback.
That's fair.
Loser franchise. They went from a team that would go 0-16 every year, but the fans would root for them. Now they're going to be a half-decent team, and not a single person wants them to win any game.
I think more than likely he's just never really – something's just off.
That would be awesome.
And he's just not quite back to what he was. Or he could be like Michael Vick and just come back and be disgusting.
I hope he sucks.
I hope he sucks.
And finally,
I hope he gets hurt.
number 1. The World Cup is, of course, going on right now.
So,
Team USA onto the knockout stage in the spirit of the World Cup and soccer. Pick the NFL player who you think would be the best soccer player, excluding kickers and punters.
Okay. Ooh, that's really good.
Thank you.
Young, healthy Odell Beckham Jr.
That's pretty good. I like that.
So when he was on the Giants,
He's a soccer guy, right?
yeah, but the way he moves, I feel
Yeah.
like is just very soccer-esque.
I had Jalen Waddle.
Like, I don't think Tyreek Hill moves like a soccer player.
Yeah.
I think he's just really fast. But I think Odell just has like the way he moves is just very smooth,
It is very smooth.
and natural.
I
Mercurial.
said either Debo Samuel or A.J. Brown.
I don't think A.J. Brown, but I like Deebo Samuel.
I think A.J. Brown would be a defender or midfielder.
That's fair. A nice holding mid,
A nice
if you
holding
will.
mid, but just
A little
big,
Patrick
big
Vieira.
enough, physical, fast. Yeah,
Yeah. That was a good question, Andrew.
thank you. And that concludes 10 questions for the NFL.
Damn.
That leaves one segment. Sam's
The
send-off.
segment.
The segment. Sam's send-off by Sam.
I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this.
Okay.
When was the last time before the World Cup you sat down and watched the entirety of a soccer match?
The 2014
8
World
years.
Cup.
Yeah.
You've now sat down and watched 3 American matches?
2.
2?
2.
2.
2?
2.
Talk to me. What have you noticed? What are your thoughts?
Listen.
About soccer or the USA team?
USA
Yeah.
team.
Oh, the USA team. Okay. We hold strong on D. We haven't allowed an actual goal. But where the offense just, it doesn't feel like the offense is electric enough. It feels like we're going to play the Netherlands on Saturday, and if the Netherlands put up a goal, we're struggling to get back in that game.
That's fair. Now, it's weird because it almost feels like we're very relentless. Like we attack a lot, but we don't have the final finishing touch.
We attack a lot, but we don't create chances.
You need a striker.
We're just
really
there.
bad.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That's my main takeaway. Also, Matt Turner is just the best.
Him, if you will.
Yes.
It's like Russell Westbrook attacking the rim. Just kind of, he can get there. It's just kind of out of control.
That's fair.
Right? He'll make some. He'll look great at times, but more than likely it's going to end up in a relatively ugly finish.
So my thing is Greg Berhalter is our coach. I don't think he's that good, but I have to give him credit for conceding no goals in open play besides when Walker Zimmerman just turned his brain off.
Quick
Yes,
thing,
go.
I don't trust that guy.
Fair.
I do not feel safe when he's back there.
So
on
that's the thing.
defense.
I don't entirely trust him or Cameron Carter Vickers.
One of the ponytail guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they were playing well this
They're called Man Bun Brothers, actually.
man bun. I thought they were playing well.
The older guy is.
So it's Tim. I like Zimmerman and Ream over the other guy that played last match.
Cameron Carter Vickers.
Yes. Wow.
Andrew's into this thing.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Listen, you can give me a tournament. I can get all in. I can get behind it.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
So, I favor Zimmerman for that reason. But, and kudos to Greg Berhalter for going through England and Wales and Iran with conceding 1 goal the entire time.
Yep.
But he has, what has been touted as a generational talent in Gio Reyna on the bench. And he is a true forward, which would allow us to play him on the right and play Tim Weah, who scored, through the middle. And that would be incredibly effective. But for some reason, he's resisted it. And we've now had to resort to Pulisic getting injured, we'll say, to get Brendan Aronson on. It doesn't
Yeah.
make...
Yeah.
It worries me.
It is a concern.
They
It is a
could
concern.
beat, who are they playing?
The Netherlands, who we match up very well
Yeah, we
against.
could beat them.
Because the Netherlands don't actually, go and attack. They kind of sit back.
Okay.
But
So-
that's also my concern, though.
Yes.
That we over attack and leave ourselves vulnerable to a counter.
If they I think we're gonna have so much trouble scoring that if the Netherlands put up a single goal, then
We're
we're just gonna be
screwed.
watching it and be like, it's just there's nothing on offense.
The Netherlands have the best center back pairing in the world,
Yeah.
Okay.
which they have Virgil van Dijk. I don't know if that's a name.
Nope.
He plays for Liverpool. He's very good.
I'm familiar with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, yes. Good work.
Thank you.
Who's looked the best so far?
That's a very good question. Spain have looked really good.
Really?
Spain has looked really good.
Spain's looked really good, but Germany, once they kind of made their tactical adjustments at halftime, they brought Spain down to earth,
Okay.
which was interesting. France look like they haven't missed a step, which
Locked
is
in.
weird because it's a completely different roster from what it was in 2018.
But I think that's good for them.
I agree, because it's the teams that are like, oh, we're just going to try this again, but
Bring
when
the
our
same
players are
team
4
back,
years
yeah.
older.
Okay.
Like, that's what happened with Belgium. They had this golden generation in 2018. They suck now, and they asked their best player, who's one of the best Premier League midfielders of all time, why aren't you playing well? And he's like, we're too old, and we should have won it in 2018.
Who won it in 2018?
France did.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Um,
Did they beat Belgium?
No.
How far did Belgium get that year? Semis?
Andrew, you did on this?
Which year?
2018. I
I'm
don't know how
on
far
it.
they got. The thing
They were really good.
it was their golden generation. But now there's like fights breaking out.
Semifinals. They lost to France in the semifinal 1-0.
So now there's fights breaking out in the Belgian locker rooms. One of their 37-year-old defenders, who De Bruyne, the player's comments were clearly targeted at, came out and said that maybe the reason we're not scoring enough goals is because our attackers are too old. So apparently, 2 players had to get separated following their recent loss to Morocco, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's kind of hitting the fan for Belgium.
Dang.
I just want to quickly say, Argentina's looking really good today. They're in the 87th minute. They have 23 shots, 13 shots on goal. The
What's the
XGs are
score?
crazy. 2-0. But they're going to win the group. And you currently have Mexico up 2-0 as well, but they're tied with Poland in goal differential now.
Argentina's going to win the group?
Argentina's going to win the group. If everything holds, I believe our prediction, Mike, 100% for group.
What was your
Group C.
prediction?
Argentina, Poland, Mexico, Saudi Arabia.
Sam, you want to enlighten the audience on the standings and the...
Oh,
Yeah, I'm winning.
he's winning.
Oh,
let
shit.
the record show the only reason he's winning is because he had England finishing above the U.S. in Group B.
So apparently now I'm a communist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
That's so un-American.
Like
Well,
that's legitimately the
Isn't
difference.
that the
in
most
points.
American thing, sacrificing one's morals to win?
No,
That's beautiful capitalism.
I mean, yeah, that's our thing, but
Mhm.
you still should have picked America,
yeah.
loser. You picked Britain. It's not like you
I
picked...
picked England. I didn't pick the rest. I didn't pick Wales or Northern Ireland.
It's not like you picked...
but-
Hold on. It's not like you picked, some random
Or
country
even
we have
France.
nothing...
France is just a wagon.
Whatever.
Wagner.
You picked England.
Yes.
England.
They're a brother. They're a little brother.
No, but...
When you knew they were going to play each other, and there was no chance we were losing that one, by the way.
Oh, we were never going to lose
We were
that.
never going to lose it.
We looked way better than them in that game.
We did.
We should have just, made goals. Would have helped.
Well said.
If we just took care of business
That
against
sounds
Wales,
really, unintelligent, but if you watch the game,
No, you're
no,
right.
seriously,
Yeah.
just makeable shots, and we would have won.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even know soccer, and I could tell that.
Like the
Yeah.
one where it came across Weston McKennie's body.
Yep, and he
just
hit
kinda
to the 15th row.
All he had to do was just let the ball settle for a second.
Yeah.
No one
Yep.
was on him.
I went back and I saw that Tim Weah chance against Iran.
Yep.
Where he just heads it.
He
instead
heads
of
it like
collecting
he's
it.
the only one there.
Yeah.
He can just let it hit the ground and kick it, and it's going to go in.
Yeah. No, that was difficult to
Yeah,
watch.
we like the old sail it over the goal shot. We're big fans of that.
Okay, I've noticed 2 things from watching a lot of soccer in the past week or so.
Okay, let's hear it.
One is that happens way too often.
Okay, so
I'm sure it does.
I have a response for that, but here, say your second thing first.
Second thing is, Mexico. Did they score?
Did they score? My
It
phone
looks
is,
like-
my phone is blowing up.
It's
right
looking
now.
like they scored.
My phone
Are
is
they
blowing up.
They might be calling them offside again.
What is happening?
Yeah, I called them offside. They've now scored 2 goals where they got called offside. The first one was very obvious. This one, yeah, he's offside.
That's a shame.
The other thing, and it's just,
Oh, this means that Poland's going to go through on the yellow card rule
what do you mean?
because the goal differential is going to be tied.
Oh.
So it comes down to the fair play.
That's terrible.
That's-
by the way.
I don't like that.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
It should go to head before they do that.
I
Now
agree.
they drew head to head.
Yeah.
Anyways, the other thing is guys just rolling around on the ground. It happens all the dang time.
It does happen all the day.
A guy will get hit in the shoulder, and he looks like he's just been shot. Is what he looks like when he's on the ground.
Dude, watching the game yesterday with some of my coaches and teammates was so funny.
What game?
Anytime someone hit the ground,
Oh, yeah.
it was just
They just roll around there.
Soccer players, oh.
No, but seriously, they roll around on the ground. And by the way, the game is still going on.
Yes.
That's
They're,
the thing that's crazy to me. One of my favorite soccer videos is there's this guy who acts like he gets shot, and then his team scores a goal, and he's looking around, looking for someone to take pity on his poor soul for being so mortally wounded. And then he realizes his whole team's up celebrating. So he's like, oh, geez, all right. And he gets up and like runs over to celebrate with everybody.
Yeah, Mexico's also put up a ton of shots this game.
That's good old-fashioned shootout. 2-0.
See, this is it's
Pure
like
entertainment.
the exact opposite of USA England. USA England, it was like they're just playing in the middle 75% of the field for the entire second half.
I got to say, I like watching the U.S. play. Having a hard time just watching games to watch games.
That's fair.
Now, to be fair, whenever I've watched any other games, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I would never watch in class. Never.
No, of course not.
Couldn't be Andrew Cohen.
Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be us in Italian.
I mean, I'm obviously watching 2 games right now where we're doing a podcast.
Oh, watching it when like every like push for a goal has like a lot more weight on it is awesome.
Oh,
So
like
that's
that-
pretty cool.
That's when the knockout rounds are going to come in.
Yeah.
And, like, that was my comment about the Spain-Germany game, is that match felt like a knockout round matchup.
So how did it turn out? Are they both going to get out now?
If Germany wins, then yes. Likely, they're both playing teams that are far lesser than them. So if they both win, Germany gets out. I think Germany can win and get
Is
out.
Spain already the one?
Spain's already through. They're not guaranteed the one.
Okay.
I think it's like it has to be super
So
fluky.
Germany's playing Costa Rica. Costa Rica's goalie, I believe, is the PSG goalie.
It's the backup.
Or he might be
PSG
the
goalie.
backup now.
Yeah.
Hey, we have the backup Arsenal goalie.
Yeah. Matt Turner's
Sue.
him. So also look out. Oh yeah, so like the Morocco match was another one I watched, at least closer to the
That
end.
was fun, wasn't it?
That was a lot of fun. Like you could feel the stakes in that one
Yeah.
because they're an underdog. They were up 1-0, and Belgium kept coming down and having opportunities, and then Morocco counterpunched and got another goal. It was pretty electric.
Yeah.
So am I right in that the USA was trying to blow that game yesterday?
Yes.
The
And we
last
just, managed to survive it.
the last 9
that
minutes were
header at
chaos.
the end of the game was
It was
Very
very
scary.
like the Celtics playing the Heat in Game 7 of the finals.
they're just
Also,
trying to
Eastern
give it
Conference
away.
Finals. It's like you're just watching and they can't do anything right all of a sudden.
Yes.
Yeah.
My response to you about everyone sailing the ball,
Yep.
it's not this common. It happens. It's not this common. So in 2010, the World Cup ball was called the Jabalani. And the way it was designed, instead of having traditional panels, it was like one singular panel and then 3 little circles.
Okay.
So the ball flight was insane. But there was one player, this guy named Diego Forlan, that realized this. And ahead of the World Cup, he ordered like 10 special balls to be sent to his house. So he just practiced with those balls only in like his backyard. And this guy was like just a super mid striker. I think he was like first or second in the Golden Boot for the World Cup.
Wait, who is that guy again?
Diego Forlan,
For what team?
Uruguay.
Okay.
He was scoring the most ridiculous knuckleball free kicks. Like, it was stupid. That ball would move like, what are the blitz? Is it the blitz ball?
Yeah.
It looked like that. People are saying this is one of those situations where the ball just sails. There's obviously no evidence to corroborate that. But
Corroborate that.
I'm going to throw my pencil at you. But, I think that's a funny little story.
That is.
Thank you.
So, I think it was Andrew, not you, other Andrew, our beloved quarterback. I think he told me this stat yesterday when we were watching the game, so I want you guys to guess. What was the viewership, I believe, of the last World Cup final?
He said guess.
Oh, guess?
Yeah, guess. I know what it is.
What was the viewership of the U.S.-England match?
In America, it was 15 million.
15 million. So
Wait, are you talking
15 million?
Are you talking about worldwide?
Yeah.
World? Yes.
Okay,
that-
yeah.
Wait, it
so-
was only 15 million?
Just on
in-
Fox.
just on Fox, like U.S.
Yeah, so United States.
Yeah.
Wait,
you're,
so
you're
the
asking worldwide.
Giants-Cowboys got 42.
I know.
Yeah.
Holy
Um,
crap.
All right,
That's
so you're
surprising.
asking
Not
for
more
world.
people to watch that.
You're asking
Sorry.
for worldwide, right?
Yeah. What do you think the worldwide viewership for the final is?
Is it over $1 billion?
I don't know.
I would say 600 million.
I'll go 800 million.
1.12 billion people.
It's insane.
That's over, or what, we just moved up to 8 billion worldwide. So a little over an eighth of the global population will have watched those players play soccer.
It's insane.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can you imagine walking onto the pitch for that match?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
With a billion people watching you play?
Yeah.
Imagine getting a penalty. Oh, dude. That's so crazy.
Don't worry. Messi will be ready.
Yeah, of course. He's just getting the missed penalty kicks out of the way now.
Yeah.
It's true.
By the way, Mexico just skied one into the 50th row.
It's the ball.
So why does that happen?
Honestly, because when you see the goal, you get super excited and you look at the goal. So when your head goes up, everything comes up, and the way you keep the ball low with power is you
Just looking at it.
you keep your knee over the ball. So when you start looking up, your knee falls behind the ball, and that means you get under it and you just scoop it over.
That sounds hilariously similar to my golf swing.
Yes, it's very actually
Like, if you
similar.
don't keep your head down, you're just going to chunk
Yeah.
it or hit it straight up in the air.
Because you feel like you want to be looking at the goal so you know where it is. But you actually kind
So
of
you
have
got to just trust yourself that you're lined up and just let it rip.
Yeah.
Huh. That's very interesting.
That is.
I guess when you watch people kick penalty kicks, their head's down the whole time.
Yeah.
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 Huh. You learn something every day.
You do.
That you do.
Good soccer talk, guys.
Great soccer talk. This has been one of our better podcasts. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I'm excited for next week. I'm loving some college football right now.
Oh, it
I
should be
haven't been
great.
this excited in a while.
You're like Andrew in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch. No, I mean, I will watch USA Netherlands in full. Uh-oh. Saudi. Oh, no.
Yes.
The Saudis just scored.
What does this mean?
It's 2-1. They're about to enter the 5th minute of extra time. So Mexico would need to score 2 more goals to get through.
Okay.
But what if the Saudis?
Are the Saudis alive?
What if they get the draw?
Are the Saudis alive?
Not getting the draw if
Did Saudis
already
score?
over
Are you
time.
where are you seeing this?
Okay, no, the Saudis would have to win.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Saudis would have to put up 2. If either team puts up 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, they're on to the knockout stage. Anyways, we're going to end it off there. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another fantastic episode of Courtside. Subscribe, leave a like, a review, a comment, tell your friends, all that good stuff. Thank you so much.